Hello and welcome to This Week in Bitcoin, brought to you by Relai Private. There's a lot that happened this week, and without wasting any of your time, let's get stuck in. News number ones were many prominent names that either had a warrant issued by the US government, or there were announcements that there have been investigations started into them, or just flat out announcements that people will go to jail, largely of the Bitcoin community, but also some of the more influential people in the digital asset ecosystem. And there were two prominent names or two prominent projects that are related to Bitcoin or were related to Bitcoin in the past. One of them is the Samurai wallet and the Samurai team, a very famous privacy-first wallet and a privacy mixing service that the US government now sees as a sanction bypass tool for oligarchs and all of the type of stuff you would imagine with people who want to aka launder money. That's at least the statement we saw from the US government. Then the second part was also Roger Ver. Used to be the Bitcoin evangelist in the earlier days of Bitcoin before he got a bit lost in the block size wars and started his own fork. But he also got accused of tax evasion, tax fraud, and therefore the IRS, which is the tax office in the US, is now investigating him as well. Thirdly, we also heard the sentencing from CC, the former CEO and founder of Binance, who's been sentenced to 4 months in prison, part of his deal where he had to step down. They paid the $4 billion in fees last year and all of these things. But nevertheless, it's quite visible that the US is very aggressive towards Bitcoin, specifically this week, and also other digital assets, but mainly that they sort of want to hit the hammer from above and accuse people of doing these crimes in their eyes, and to use these things like Bitcoin and other assets as a gateway around current regulations and all of these things. In my opinion, one thing is very clear. There's a difference between Europe and America here, where in Europe we are often quite heavily regulated, but with these regulations you have much more clearance, especially for businesses and in a sense also individuals. I'm not stating that everything is perfect, but you very rarely read around these cases in Europe. You have more of these taking someone and making an example out of them in the US. And it will be interesting to see in the next couple of weeks how this emerges and if there will be more announcements by the US government. Then second news are very promising for miners out there. We had various publicly noted miners who announced that they had a very successful Q1. Digital Marathon in particular there, they announced a year-over-year growth from Q1 last year to this year of over 1,000%, which is immense. And it just came at the perfect timing for these miners before the halving. But you also have other, miners and mining sites that announced very profitable Q1s. And if you look at the past 12 to 14 months, you actually saw a lot of, higher transaction fees, a lot more volume on chain. And therefore, if you are, of course, big enough, which companies like Marathon and all of these publicly noted miners are, you then have the option to find a block much quicker and obviously profit from these high transaction fees, from all of these higher fees in general. And it makes you wonder if the miners will actually keep up this pace after the halving now. We'll see, but it's definitely good news that part of the ecosystem, a very important part, actually mining the blocks for us to be able to use Bitcoin, are also heavily up in the dark numbers. Then last but definitely not least, we also have some internal news from Relai Private and Relai Business, where we're very happy to announce that April has been a very successful month. Our team basically worked through the entire month, getting new clients in, both on the OTC side, the Relai Private side for high net worth individuals or people with larger Bitcoin volume, and also on the business side, where a lot of businesses have woken up to the fact, hey, maybe investing our part of our businesses into stuff like real estate or into gold, it does have its use case, but we're not actually as flexible as if we invested it into Bitcoin. And this is also something our team has noticed, that a lot of outflows from real estate developers, gold investors, but also businesses who just had a lot of cash reserves on their balance sheet, which just depreciates even faster with inflation, was transferred over to Bitcoin, and they're now part of our community as well, and to really utilize that use case. So hats off from our end recommend, of course, to our private team. They're doing an amazing job. And if you know people who might be interesting, maybe even have a business, who have asked you countless times, how can I put Bitcoin on my balance sheet? Send them over to relay.app/private. I'll also link the link in the description below. And let's have them talk with our amazing team. I'm sure they'll be able to help them out. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this issue of This Week in Bitcoin. You know the drill. If you got questions, feedback, just want to say hello, leave something in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing you next week again.